Hello, resellers. My name is Clara. I am the co founder of List Perfectly. And today, on this session, I'm going to be joined by amazing Maria. Maria, the style lister, an 18-year plus experience reseller that began reselling from her own clothing and then transitioned in a very, very successful business. You can almost call it an empire because she started selling from marketplaces like eBay, Poshmark, then transitioned to places like house codes, her own website. Then she even explored consignment. Maria has so much experience. And while she's reselling luxury items, she's a champion, is an incredible advocate for sustainability and preventing fast fashion. So let's, without much further ado, I'm gonna be joined with Maria. Welcome, Maria.
Hi, hi. How you guys doing? So excited to be here. I love the List Perfectly fam. I'm so excited. Thank you, Clara, for inviting me. Very
Oh,
excited to be here.
you're so welcome, Maria. And after using LP so many years, you know me, I'm bad at scripts or whatever. Okay, so I just, so after using LP so many years, this is our first session together.
Yes, that's so exciting. I know I've done sessions. I did one with Dana Crawford, I believe,
Yeah,
but I think this
yeah.
is the first one you and I are doing. So I'm really excited and to many more for us to work together too. It'll be super.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you for making time to share with our community your incredible experience and success that I see you you are an example of reseller that is so well strategic on the growth of your reselling business, that I have to congratulate you as a chief strategy officer, seeing your growth and how you do it. And what I see is that you're passionate and I see you on camera and you enjoy, you love what you do. So that's why literally I was so compelled to contact you and share your journey with our reselling community, because I noticed that your niche, it's a niche that I would say, me speaking on experience, Maria, the most expensive item that I sold was only, okay, $9,000. So for me, and compared to you, I know that I've seen you selling some insane purses, okay, some insane items. So I am excited to share your experience and your journey as a luxury seller, online seller, and share this with the community. Believe it or not, Maria, it's something that scares a lot resellers because of the possible loss. So I can't wait to make you some questions about it. But before we go into this particular area, I would like to let's go from the beginning, Maria. So how did you get started reselling online? How did your journey started?
I started just like everybody else. I wanted to clear out my closet. So, when they always say if you're starting on eBay, and this is for anybody that's there and you're just getting into the eBay game or the reselling game, I literally started from my closet. There were a handful of things. It was a dress that I wore at a cousin's wedding. You remember the era of like Facebook albums where there's like 450 pictures
Yes.
uploaded or whatever,
Oh, oh
and you would
yes.
be in, I was in several albums and everything. So it was a dress I wore to a relative's wedding. So I couldn't wear it again. I think I'd worn it a couple of times. So I said, it's time
Right,
for it to go. I bought a pair of diesel jeans when I was traveling in Greece. My family's Greek, so we go to Greece, and I never
right.
wore them in the United States. Sometimes, and if you've traveled, you'll buy something in a foreign country, you'll be like, I love this. And then you try and wear it in the States. It doesn't translate, or you
I
can't really
couldn't
wear
agree
it
more.
anywhere. Exactly. So I said, this is when diesel jeans were very hard to find.
Yes.
It was the year 2008, I believe, or 2007
Oh,
when I
uh-huh.
started my journey, and I took them to one of those buy, sell, and trade stores, those nicer ones, and they
Right.
didn't offer me a lot of money.
Yeah.
BST, buy, sell, trades,
No,
like a really
diesel,
nicer
diesel
consignment
in
store.
diesel in the US is not like super, but in rest of the world it's like what a brand. You're absolutely right. Yes.
And that's how it started. And the dress, I think, was BCBG, and it was BCBG runway. And even though it's these two, they were higher tier. They weren't necessarily runway like Gucci, Chanel, Prada, or something like that. They
Yeah.
were higher end items. They were my nicer things. And it was hard for me to just, I couldn't just give them away. You know, I wasn't comfortable with that, but I also wasn't comfortable with getting the payout that I was offered at the time.
Right.
So I decided I'm actually a vinyl record collector. So I would collect vinyl records. And so
Oh, wow.
I was using eBay for that. And I ended up listing my items along with a random pair of French Connection. If you guys remember French Connection,
French
high
con.
heels
Oh,
I
how
never
I
wore.
love French Connection.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I sold. And then those items sold. And then I listed more items and I sold
Right.
those. And it felt really great because I was
Uh,
closing the loop. I didn't like, you
huh.
know, like I was wearing these items 2, 3 times and I wouldn't want to wear them again. It was part of that era where you didn't wear things. Now I wear the same things all the time. And I've got investment pieces in my closet. So that doesn't bother me. But you know, when it was that time and I don't like that time. And I didn't wear fast fashion. I really
Uh-huh.
didn't like it. I thought it
Uh-huh.
was terrible style. I was very selective of what I was purchasing at the time. It
Right.
wasn't. You could tell at the time how the clothing and the quality was different at that time. Now,
Right.
you know, and we could even unpack a little bit about how the quality has changed
Yeah.
in luxury and with brands like Gucci, with Dior, Louis Vuitton, and even Chanel. The brand quality has changed. And I
Yeah.
think that's also a really big factor for me because I'm still hunting for the items from 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, before there was this huge transition into creating the more mass market items, the mass
Yeah.
production items, and
Right.
made in countries that aren't necessarily in Europe, where it is, you know, for me, I spent a long time being, you know, trying to avoid, you know, where you talk about production that's not made in
Right.
countries that are being regulated. And I'll leave it in a general part of that
Yeah.
because now we're seeing, and so that was also my feeling. I didn't feel comfortable buying something that an 11-year-old child was making. So I would
Right.
save up my money, buy something really nice,
That
wear it
is
a few
so
times. And then
true.
that's how I was closing the loop. That was kind of my goal at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, now this has shifted. So now I'm really focused on really preserving and trying to avoid adding into, because right now they say it's 6 generations. We have enough clothing on this planet to clothe the
Oh.
next 6 generations. And,
Wow.
you know, and that is a lot of clothing. It is a lot of clothing. And as people, as someone that, you know, um, I have the privilege where I can buy things that are a little nicer, that I can wear them more often. You know, sometimes you don't have that privilege, and that's completely understandable. But I have
Mhm.
that privilege where I can buy nicer things and wear them more often and wear them more spare and recycle that and then go
Yeah.
on and sell them and everything. I think that's huge right now that we need to be mindful in our environment.
Thank you for sharing your mission. That's your mission
Yeah.
statement right there. Having, it's very powerful what you're saying, and it's also on your website. Everybody, I can share with everybody. So let's start showing a little what you have. So Maria, you started. Where did you start it on which marketplace, or did you start it on
eBay
your
was
web?
the first marketplace I started, and I was
Right,
basically selling on eBay, and then I was on Tradesy, and then there was Snob Swap. These were like really early. This was early, like back in the day. If there's anybody that's in here that's been selling for a long time, they probably remember these platforms. And
right.
then after that, This Perfectly came, and what happened was Tradesy was coming, and I was uploading on Tradesy, and I was selling, was doing
Oh yes.
very little, but I was selling pretty well on Tradesy as well.
Huh.
And then I was doing a little bit on Snob Swap, but then they closed. So it was
Oh,
pretty much, I would say, 99% eBay and then 1% Tradesy, which was a couple items I would upload on Tradesy,
right,
um, knowing
right,
I would get that taken care of and everything, knowing I would get that done. You know what I mean?
right,
So it
right,
was, I would list them and I knew they would sell. And I think that's when I was selling a lot less on there. I was doing most of my business on eBay though. And then when
right,
This Perfectly came into the game, that's when I cross posted to Poshmark. And then that's when I joined the Poshmark community. And that was, I believe,
right.
7 years now, 6 or 7 years I've been on Posh.
I love
Don't
your.
look at the dates of shared. I'm traveling right now. So I'm also worth $1 million. If you want to buy me, check that out. You know,
You
million
crack
dollars,
me
guys.
up.
You know, everybody's got a price. My price is 1 million, you
Oh,
know.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
I don't
let's
know
see.
if I'd pass authenticate, but we'll see.
Okay, Wow, you have like a $10,000 Chanel purse. We're talking high end. Speak about luxury items. This is incredible. Beautiful items, Maria. What
Thank
a
you.
great taste you have. I love it. So then you did eBay, you went to Poshmark, and I
Yes.
have to congratulate you. You have one
Thank
of
you.
my favorite. Tell me about your website because I love your website.
Thank you so much. So my website, it's Shopify. I use Shopify, and it's just it's a little by little. Again, Rome wasn't built in an empire,
Right,
and I think that people really stress out about how their progress is happening or why they haven't progressed or what is going on. And for me, it's definitely a Rome wasn't built in a day. And for me, it's been the same thing. My business wasn't built in a day. It's been built, brick by brick, little by little. And I think that's
right.
really something that I want people to know. I didn't immediately start selling Chanel. I didn't immediately start selling Hermes or Gucci or Fendi. I started selling whatever was in my own closet, and I built my business that way. And and I started from from something as easy as retail arbitrage to
Right.
thrifting to consignment to selling my family members, my sister's clothing, to my own clothing. And that's kind of how it all happened. Oh, I need to fix the background on that one.
I was just going to tell you, you know what I like about this image, Maria, that
Is
shows
that
that
it's
you
real?
actually,
Do you see
yeah,
the whiteboard in the background? That's hilarious. I didn't
yes,
even know
no,
I have that
I
picture
don't
on
think
there.
you, honestly, I don't think you should change it. If anything, it's showing that you honestly have the product.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I leave it up to you, but I don't think at all you should change it, but only if you feel better. But this is really good,
Thank
Maria,
you.
I have to say.
This is
Oh
actually a
yeah, this
really
is totally perfectly.
Yeah, yeah, it is cross-posted, and the way it's been cross-posted is via List Perfectly. So I think that's all my items are cross-posted through List Perfectly. If it wasn't for List Perfectly, I'd be on only on one platform.
Oh my goodness.
So that's definitely the case. It's very difficult. I always joke that I'm inherently lazy. Uh, and so I want to do as little work as possible. And so I think, a platform like List Perfectly has really helped me really develop my business and really grow it to be multi-platform. While
Right.
I've been traveling, I sold two items. One was a Gucci handbag, which was for you guys, and another was a Roberto Cavalli runway gown. And I've been traveling. Both of those items were cross-posted. And so that's
Thank
something
you for
that really
bringing.
needs to be said, that it
Um,
absolutely helps. And those were on Poshmark, and
right,
and it's fantastic. It's really helped me with my business. It's helped me grow my business dramatically. It takes time. I
right,
think the thing when people say, what's like the biggest piece of advice? It takes time, and you have to build it slowly,
right,
and I think that's really something people forget. I've been doing this forever. So when people see what I'm doing, I've been doing it forever. So
right,
I have these privileges where I have the funds, or I have the means, and I have the connections to work and network with people, or have the clients that reach out to me and say, "Hey, I want to sell like that
right.
Gucci Diane bag. That's a consignment piece."
Yeah,
And and I have the amazing people who trust me with their items. They send them
right.
to me. Some people haven't even met me, and they send me their items easily. And
Wow.
it's really on the basis of how I conduct myself in my business.
Right, right, right,
That's
right.
huge. You know.
And thank you for sharing that, everybody. Posh Fest is around the corner. I'm asking Maria if maybe she will meet us in the Posh party. She's very busy, but I'm really asking, hopefully she can join us. But one of the things that we did with Maria, and that is going to be special about List Perfectly and Posh Fest, that we're sponsors again. Very honored to be sponsors for a third time. And so what we did is we shopped from Maria's closets and all of our amazing community, and we're gonna be doing a giveaway at Poshfest from items that we purchased to support sustainability and second and pre-love items. So we are gonna do a giveaway for you Poshfest attendees. So thank you, Maria, for. I remember you were almost traveling and you have to ship it before you travel. Thank you for doing that and bringing
Of
that up. I really
course.
appreciate it.
No, that was no problem. It was my joy. And the cool part about the item that you guys sold, which was that Gucci handbag, that's a consignment piece. And I think that's part of closing the loop. my client had bought the bag. She had never used it. It was in new condition. Like when it arrives, you guys saw it, it's new.
Yeah.
And she had never used it. And it's just sitting in her closet. Why not give it second life? And whoever's going to win it, they can wear it, they can sell it, it can go wherever they want. And I think that's the important part. It's closing the loop. We have a problem with our environment, and however you want to handle it, and I think that's something that if I can't do everything, you know what I mean? Like I can't really make these big impacts, but I can make these small ones, and these are the ones I'm trying to do.
Thank you. Thank you. That's one of the things that as a vintage clothing seller, that was my niche. Okay. I really appreciate that we both have that mission. I always had it clear. You can rescue these pieces. You can even restore them and resell them. So it's something that we have in common. So one of the things that caught my attention, Maria, is that you said that you got started around 2008 reselling earlier. Did you say that?
Yeah, 2007 or 2008, 2008 or 2007. It was 18 years ago. We have to do the math because eBay sent me the notification. You've been selling on eBay for 18 years. This was in February. So that's how I know. I don't even track it. eBay tracks it for me because it sends the anniversary. Like, thank you so much for being a part of the eBay family. So that's when I started. I was a buyer before. But that's when I started my reselling journey. I created a new eBay account. I didn't realize I shouldn't have done that at the time. So, but now I know better now,
Right. But that's interesting because I got started doing shipping for Amanda in 2008. So I just want to share that we have to say,
that's crazy.
That's when I went away from banking. That was when the financial system kind of was a challenge here in the US. And I was like, okay, I can't keep doing banking. I need to do something else.
Yeah.
And Amanda and reselling to the rescue. So I just wanted to share that point in common.
That's crazy. Let me see. Let me double check. I know it's 18 years because I did not realize it. Let me see here. I'm so bad at math. I got C's in math. 20,
I stopped counting.
07. So it was 07. So I we're about 1 year, but still the same amount of time. Very close.
Exactly.
It's been a joy, and I just started as a hobby. It started as a hobby just to kind of, so I could wear cool stuff, and I really like the vintage. I wore a lot of 80s. I love the 80s during the Y2K era. I couldn't stand the fashion at that time. That was also a thing. If you look bad, it was like peplum. It was horrible. It was just like,
oh my God, peplum.
Year 2008 is a disaster for fashion. And that is like a hill I'm willing to die on. The late aughts, some of it was just so tacky.
Oh, yes. I remember.
Early 2000s were cool, but the late aughts were
not so cool.
Rough seas. I don't know if that era is going to come back, and I really hope it doesn't. So it's that kind of deal. So I just didn't like the fashion at the time. It was really difficult, and I connected more with more of the vintage era. And again, I preferred the quality because even back then the quality was still better,
Right.
It still is.
That's why I had so much success with vintage because the quality, the leather is thicker. The Vicuna coats have a thicker wool fabric. Okay, so everything was like the stitching, the way they put the buttons back in the day wasn't done with just an automated machine. So so many different things from the quality you can tell when it was hand sewn versus just a machine. It's just so detailed. So many. I love how you were able to tie sustainability into the high quality of the items that turns into luxury resale. So that's just incredible how you tied your mission with your vision in business. So I think you answered this question, Maria, by saying that you started doing luxury reselling because you like the quality pretty much versus fast fashion. Or would you say that what I just said is right? Does that go along?
Absolutely. I was taught I was taught how to shop by my mom. And I say that in kind of a joking manner. Like I grew up going to Loehmann's. If you were, again, if you're part of that generation,
Maria, no.
If you were to tell me what's your favorite department store, I'd still tell you Loehmann's to this day. It's been out of business since 2011. something like
Yes.
that,
Yes.
2013. And it's 2013. And
Oh,
still
Maria.
to this day, I really truly miss it. And you could find the best deals. I have clothing. I
Huh?
still wear some things that I purchased from Women's. So my
Me too.
mother taught me to purchase smart, buy on sale, like of
Right.
course that I would buy regular. Like I said, I grew up with a lot of privilege. I didn't really step foot into a secondhand store until later on in life.
Right.
Until I went to college with my friends. My friends were vintage shop, were Goodwill shopping, and I didn't
Yeah.
really conceptualize at the time to buy clothes from there myself. So that's kind of the background I have, and so it has given me that advantage where I always knew the good brands, or I always knew what to look for as far as quality, stitching, material.
Right.
Like when I would go through racks, going through, I would touch something and I would be like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, this feels good," and then I would just like pull it out, and then I'd know and then I'd see the magic, and that's kind of how it started. I was taught to shop and dress well. That's what I
Right.
was taught.
Right.
That was, and I think that's something, it's something you kind of have to train on. I was unintended. Like, it was like one of those things that I was taught at a young age, like
Right.
buy well, wear your shoes. I would buy one pair of shoes and I would wear them, and I wear them constantly
Right.
because they were a nice pair of shoes.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of where that was my background and that was my upbringing. So that's where I really learned how to shop
Right.
well, and everything. And then again, and it kind of helped me because when I was selling my
Yeah.
clothing, I was selling nicer clothing. So it's kind of that, it was that kind of loop. So absolutely. I prefer, there are things I wear everyday clothing. I wear,
Right.
Levi's and Wranglers for my regular day stuff, and regular plain black t-shirts where high end is just not going to work. But if anything else, like I'll wear something nice once or twice and then I list it and then I sell it and then it goes back into the world. I once bought something pre-loved myself online on eBay. I
Right.
sold it. My
Uh-huh.
client wore it. She had me consign it for her. I sold it a second time to
No.
another consignee. It was a jacket. She sent it back to me and then I sent it out. So it was on its like fifth life. It was a really cool leather jacket. And I was like, maybe I should keep this jacket. It keeps coming back to me.
Right.
Um, but that was like a really cool experience. It's happened to me. It's happened with me with handbags as well, where I've bought something, I've sourced an item, I've sold it. I sold the luxury handbag. My client wore it. She used it. She sent it back to me to consign. And
Right.
then I sold it again. My client was like, I never used it. Can I consign it with you? She sent it back to me and I sold it. This has happened to me many, many times at this point. And
Right.
it's awesome and I love it. And it's better than having it sit in their closet where they lose the money, or it sits in their closet and then it gets too deteriorated or it ages too much where it can't get worn. So
Right.
that's also part of it. It's
Right.
knowing when to let it go. And when, if you love something, I never tell people you should be selling. Like, I'm not a Marie Kondo person, 100%. Like, no, no, I've got really cool stuff. I am not going to like hug it and say goodbye. Like, we are not doing that. Like, I'm going to hug it, and keep it forever. But
Yeah.
it's that kind of deal. I think it's cool that, we can do that and I can do that. And I do that myself and my clients do
Right.
that with me as well.
So what I hear, I love the part that you said that pretty much what I understood my take when we just were said the story about the shoes. I love how you pretty much you focus on quality over quantity. Sometimes, women, because we want to be fashionable, we want to have different pair of shoes, etc. So I love how you embrace who you are and what you resell. So that's a great example that you did over quantity over quality. So and choosing quality for yourself.
And I tell people, if because there's always these discussions about it, and to me I tell people, if you're going to buy like a woven bag because Bottega Veneta is very big and the woven bag is in style, you're going to buy it on Amazon and wear it once. That's the problem. If you're
Yeah.
going to buy something that's not expensive, like I said earlier, I wear Levi's jeans on the daily basis. I
Right.
wear those until I can no longer wear them every day. And then I dispose of them, you know what I mean? Or I recycle the material or whatever, because
Right.
and I think that's sustainable. That is what you're supposed to be doing. You shouldn't be buying something. And again, I always say it doesn't have to be high end. You just need to be wearing it or using it.
Right.
And people often get that mixed up. I've gotten comments before, and I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. Like buying something once and wearing it for a micro trend that you're never going to wear again, and then you're just going to give away in 6 months. I
Right.
don't, that's not my jam. My jam is
Right.
buying something and then wearing it and being able to sell it. And I think that's
Uh-huh.
always nice. And it takes growth. Like when you're looking at my business, I tell
Right.
people I went into the Goodwill. I would thrift shop. I would go to the buy, sell, and trade places. And what I would do is I would find the good items. I would find at the
Yeah.
time, I would find Alice and Olivia. I would find, Elizabeth and James. And this is when I was starting out, when these brands were considered like high end, or they were considered nicer. And these were the items I would take pictures of, list, measure, sell. And that was my bread and butter, and I would maybe wear it, or I would maybe sell it, or whatever. I would buy it new myself, and I would wear it a couple of times, and then I would sell it. That's
Right.
the cyclical part that I really push when doing this. That's my deal. That's my jam.
That's
Wearing
incredible.
something a couple of times and then giving it away, or knowing it's going to go into a landfill, that's not something
No.
I'm okay with.
Congrats,
That's
Maria.
that's what I find problematic.
Thank you. Thank you for helping us to reduce the carbon footprint of items and everything. So you just mentioned micro trends. I love what you just said. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's talk about the trends in luxury resale. So what do you think it's trending right now? What is shifting, and what would you say to someone that wants to explore luxury resale? Please.
I would definitely say the micro trends are always changing. Earlier, right now, we had the Y2K era was really big. And what
Mm.
I see now, it's kind of be more of a minimalist, like late 90s look. I think that's kind of the shift more from the earlier loud Y2K. I think the huge trend that I see now is there is no more trend. I see
Oh,
people wearing whatever they want. And I think that's
really?
really fantastic. Like there's always these things, like everybody this season is wearing like orange. I think I saw is the it color of fall, which is like so mind-blowing that orange is like something that's going to happen in the next 60 days or so. But to me, I've noticed and what I've noticed in younger kids, people were really homogenous looking, when we were young. I hope that's the right phrase. If that's a wrong word, I'm really sorry in advance.
Yes.
But
Well, yeah,
people all look
but I
the
know
same.
what you're saying. Yes.
They all look the same. 25 years ago, everybody looked the same. But
Yeah.
now everybody's dressed different. Everybody wears their own style. You see
Uh,
people, dressing super vintage. You see people dressing runway. You see sophisticated. You see
It's so
all these,
true.
like right now, I know they say preppy is in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
Nothing says success like excess. 80s look is really big right now. Also, I know the 80s are really big. It's
Uh-huh.
hard because sometimes you see, like they say minimalist is big, and then they say 80s is in right now, and it's hard. So I think it's pretty much, whatever you want to be wearing. And these trends that I do see, I'll give you an example. I see like the more narrow sneakers versus those big bulky dad shoes. Those have kind of faded a little bit, but now it's like the more narrow Puma sneakers, things like that, like Adidas sneakers, like the more
Right.
slick look. I think that's kind of like more an example of like the change in fashion that you kind of see. Of course, like it's still wide leg over skinny jeans, but I still see people wear skinny jeans. I still wear skinny jeans sometimes.
Right.
It just happens. So it's
Yeah.
that kind of deal. The trend that I've noticed in fashion is there's no more, again, everybody is wearing this or everybody looks like that. Everybody
Yeah.
is just wearing what they like. And I think that's also pretty fantastic. And
That
I
is.
think the big thing is right now is vintage is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah.
answer your question, I think you asked someone who wants to break into the luxury resale. Start small.
Mm.
Start small. I really, when I started getting into, so for most people, I was originally doing luxury. For those of you that don't know, I was originally doing luxury clothing. I was doing a
Right.
lot of retail arbitrage and clothing consignment. That was pre-pandemic. And then when the pandemic happened, nobody bought clothes. Everything closed and nobody bought clothes. So I shifted to the pre-loved luxury handbag category. I decided to do that and see what would happen because
Right.
people weren't buying clothing. And that's when my business really took off. And then shortly after that, I started doing the live streaming. And that's how my business really shifted. But
Oh my.
I really started with one Louis Vuitton Speedy. That is how I started my business. I found one at a good price. I bought it. I
Right.
authenticated it. And we can talk about authentication in a little bit. I
Yes.
listed it, I sold it immediately, and I took that money. And it's kind of like when you go to the casino and you win the money, you put back what you originally started with, say $200, put that
Right.
back in your pocket, and then now you're playing with house money. And that's
Right.
kind of how I started my business. And again, I like I said earlier, Rome wasn't built in a day. I
Right.
slowly built I slowly built out my business. I slowly learned to source appropriately. I made mistakes, absolutely, like just like everybody does. But I had, I took my time, and I think that's really why I'm still here and why I've been doing it longer than a lot of people. And even though I'm more muted, I'm kind of more in the background of a lot of these luxury resellers. I've been doing this a long time,
Right.
and I'm
Right.
not I'm not someone that, how do I word this? I'm trying to figure out a good way to word this. I have that knowledge and experience, and I'm always happy to share it. I'm always happy to be open, and I love the
Right.
history of these items and the runway and the
Right.
archival. But I didn't
Oh, that is
start
so
with
true.
runway
You
and
do
archival.
share that. Yes. I think that I think I'm in the right channel, Maria. I'm gonna show really quick. You have like this. You always say, "Okay, I'm gonna go to this event and let's." So this is an event, okay, that you were considering maybe sourcing from, and let's see what I discover. This is incredible. I love how you share the stories of where you're going. Yeah, no, this is incredible. Really nice, really nice, and
Thank
I think
you.
that's really, really, really powerful what you're doing. So how did you? Let's get back to the part that how did you do, Maria, to determine what is? Let's go to the most important, the most scary part of reselling luxury, Maria. How do I know that this is authentic? Okay, let's say this is an authentic Gucci eye pair of eyeglasses versus a knockoff. How do I? How did you have any, let's say maybe an occasion in which you thought it would be authentic
Yeah.
and it wasn't?
And it wasn't, absolutely. So what I do is I only source. I do work on my sourcing, the relationships I build. I know that these people are selling authentic items. Occasionally things arrive. It's going to happen in the industry I'm in. But what I do always 100%, whether it's, unless I'm buying it directly from the store myself, I'm authenticating it. So all my consignees, if they're sending me their bags, I tell them right off the bat, I know you have a certificate of authenticity, maybe from somewhere else, but unless they got it from me, I re-authenticate and I verify that that is the original certificate. I re-verify. I do it for my clothing, my shoes, my accessories, my jewelry. All of my items have certs, and that's how I function. And a lot of people say, "Well, that's a lot of money." I implement that cost into my listings, and I don't have any problems. So when there's a customer that says, "Hey, I don't think this is authentic," I send them the COA, or I usually provide it with my clients because I don't have a problem doing that. I think it should be a standard. It should be an industry standard.
Wow.
I know Whatnot just started requiring people to have luxury certs, and I've been on TikTok for over almost 2 years now. Excuse me, for almost 3 years. Excuse me, it's
Congrats.
2 years or 3 years I've been doing it. I started end of 22, so 22, 23, 24. I'm about to be on TikTok for 3 years, and they would require us to upload the certificates of authenticity before we even would sell the item. And now, of course, you don't have to. Now they have you do the items after it's sold. So
Right.
TikTok, for example, pre-verifies before it's shipped out to you. And that's something that needs to be done. eBay is now doing their $500 and more authentication. But again, I either it's going to be $500, or if it's below, what I do is I purchase it, and then the day it comes in, I immediately authenticate. And it's that easy. There's a really great app. You can see on my, if you go into my
Oh yes, yes.
Instagram,
I was looking at, yes, I was looking at the, which one is the video for
go
the,
down a little bit. Go down a little bit. I'll tell you right now. It's not here. It might not. Is this TikTok? It's going to be on my
yes.
Instagram. My
Yes,
Instagram
it
has
is on your Instagram, but yes, I'll switch soon. But yeah, tell me a little about. Let me switch, okay? But yes,
yeah.
this is the style lister on TikTok, and I think you sell live here, right? Maybe before I
I
switch.
do. I live stream. I tend to live stream. I do live stream on there. I live stream also on house codes as well. But I do
Okay.
a good amount of live streaming on TikTok. It's been a good platform overall.
Nice, nice, nice. So I'm gonna share right now. Let's go back to your Instagram because I was watching that video about an application that helps you source. I saw the video and I'm like, oh, why do I have list perfectly and now listing assistant? I want to go and resell. I want to use this application. I
It's
think it
Entropy.
was
Yeah. And Entropy is fantastic. It's really great. You can scroll down. It should be
over
down
here.
here in a
I
little
think
bit.
this one.
Oh, that one's FIA. No, no, no. That's a sourcing app.
Ah, okay.
That is FIA. That's Phoebe Gates and Sophia Kiani.
Uh-huh.
That is their baby. It's actually really cool. I totally found a really crazy or like
No,
rare item. It was a rare Fendi spy bag. I bought it. It
I
came in. I authenticated it. I got it off Real Real. It was fantastic.
no, I saw this. This what an incredible application. But okay, should I keep going down?
Keep going. I think you'll see it. It's me authenticating a bunch of consignment items from I think two separate clients or one. I can't remember if it was one or two clients. And I
Right.
use Entropy. I'm using the Entropy device to authenticate my pieces, and you can see like if I it should be somewhere. I used to have it pinned, but I think I unpinned it.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
maybe pin.
no, no,
Okay.
no. It's not pinned. It's no longer pinned. You have to scroll
Ah,
down.
okay, 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 okay,
But
okay.
it's actually really great, and I do that for all my handbags. Most handbags can get authenticated with Entropy. It is really right there. I just pointed to the screen like it right there. You can see actually run a resale business. It's me looking down wearing a bright brown sweater. That one right there,
Okay.
and there I am. Actually, it's two different consignment clients, and you can see that's a whole stack right there.
Wow.
And I'm using the Entropy device and I'm authenticating. These are consignment items. So my clients are like,
Wow.
oh, I got these pieces. They're all authentic. That doesn't
Wow.
matter to me where you got it from. You know what I mean? I
Right.
still authenticate because I want my
Right.
clients who are purchasing from me to also have the certificate. So say tomorrow they want to sell their item on eBay or Poshmark
Oh.
or wherever they want to sell, they have that authentication certificate that they can say comes with COA. So they are also protected that way. I've had a lot of my clients message me like, "Hey, I can't find my COA. Can you message me? I'm going to sell my item." And I tell them give me a day or so, and then I email them with the cert, and they're very happy. So
Right.
that's the main part. I use real authentication for my clothing, shoes, accessories, and jewelry and other items, and that's just been my transition. So handbags mostly with Entropy, unless they're not authenticating, which is something like, for example, Versace, they don't verify Versace, but real authentication does.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
yeah, but
That's
I know you asked like, do you
perfect.
get fakes? Before the
Yeah.
pandemic,
Huh.
there was or around the pandemic, I bought a handbag. It's from the brand Giacomo, and
Yes.
it was like the Chiquito. It was like the Moyen bag. It's like this purple bag, and it's got this huge loop. It was adorable. It came in. It looked good at the time, and I was like, "Oh, this is perfect. I'm going to wear it for spring." I didn't realize that they were making fake Jacquemus bags. Like Giacomo. I can never pronounce it. It's French. I'm not French. And what happened was it came in. I couldn't authenticate because at the time, real authentication wasn't authenticating, and no one was authenticating these. There's no way to authenticate. Like right now, you can't even authenticate Schiaparelli jewelry. It's very difficult. You
Huh.
cannot. So there are certain things you cannot verify. So I don't sell them. Like for example, the Schiaparelli jewelry, I've seen that, and that's like an example. Or at the time that Jack was back, and then like 2 years later, I'd never used it. I put it in my closet and I kind of forgot about it, which is what happens. So I said,
Right.
okay, let me authenticate it. Real Authentication is now authenticating it, and
Right.
it was not authentic. And
Oh.
so I paid a significant amount of money on a bag that wasn't
Right.
authentic, and now I have it, and now I don't even carry it. I
No.
can't even carry it because I can't be seen with a fake.
No. You
So,
can't.
and it's really nice and it's beautiful, and I can't be seen with it. And it sits in my closet because that was my script. And I spent a good amount of money on that thing because at the time I didn't think who's going to be making this fake, like, why would anyone
Right.
make this bag? And apparently it's a thing. So it does
Wow.
happen. It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
So now if I can't authenticate
Yep.
it with any of the platforms, I don't buy it. If it's
Yeah.
something. So, and there's many platforms. There's, like Entropy for the handbags. There's a device. There's a fee you have to pay every month. Then
Right.
there's Real Authentication that does a lot. There's Legit Grails that also does things. For
Uh-huh.
rare items for Hermes, if you're not sure, you can use Baba Baby. She's expensive, but she's amazing. Some people
Wow.
use Zico's Closet for Chanel. There's
Oh,
a lot of options.
yeah,
Mercari at the time, I don't know why right now it's not letting me, but Mercari, if you used to list an item at a certain threshold, you could
right,
get a real authentication discount on that certificate. It would reduce it to, I think, about $15. Right
right.
now, it's, I think, about $30 for real authentication. But
Uh-huh.
if you put if you put the stylister in the promo code, I think it
Yeah,
takes $5 off your first authentication. But that's kind of, it's part, you have to bake that into your listing. You have to bake
yep,
that into
the
the
pricing.
price. And if you're like, oh, it's too expensive, I say this with love, then you're not, and this isn't your niche. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
It's not your niche. And then people say, authenticate it after I sell it. Well, what if it's fake? What if you had it for 3 months or 6 months and you can't open a case with eBay or Posh or somewhere
Exactly.
and say, hey, this is not authentic. You need to be authenticating. I was traveling. I'm traveling right now, as you know. I had 2 items come in. I literally authenticated them. And when I say literally, I mean, I literally authenticated them at 10 o'clock at night before I left, because they arrived the day before I left, and I authenticated 2 pieces because
Uh-huh.
if I wasn't, I wouldn't be able to open cases. I wouldn't be able to return these items. So
Right,
that's what I do. That's what I work on. You have
right,
to be diligent. You have to be diligent. If you're like, well, I don't have the time, again, then you're going to get burned. And this
yeah,
is how I don't get burned. This is how I protect myself. This is how I protect my business and my
right,
integrity and my company. And I don't have people opening credit card disputes saying my item's not authentic.
right,
That's not an issue for me. I don't have these kinds of cases because
right,
providing the certificate, I'm showing the exact item. I I disclose all issues and all wear, and that's the important part of doing this. That's the most important part, especially if you're selling something that's high end. It's not a
right.
$15 piece. What it is, and this is the thing. Your client, and I said this several years ago. This was
Oh,
pre-pandemic. I said this in an eBay interview. Like, I done one with Griff at the time, and I said, your
oh,
client can't smell, touch, or wear your item. They can't handle it. They're not handling it. So you're handling it for them. You need to disclose everything. And
yeah,
it's one thing if they get something that might be not 100, that might have some pilling or something on a $25 item. And it's a completely different ball game if there's a seam ripped or a corner that's damaged on a handbag or a archival piece, archival clothing. Because these
right,
are investment pieces, because they're not, oh, I just wear it once and I don't care about it. These people are going to be keeping them for 10, 15 years. I've got items in my closet I've had for 20 years. And I'm going
okay,
to keep them for the next few as I keep wearing them in my wardrobe because I love them and they're
right.
part of what I consider my style. And that's how a lot of people function in the niche category, in the category that I'm in. So
Yes.
I hope that makes sense. I don't know if that was like a big tangent. I'm great with the tangents,
No,
so.
no, absolutely, Maria. You're so eloquent and you're explaining it so good. Thank you so much because I love how you explained it, and especially that part in which the authenticity certificate that when I buy from you, that's something that I can also reuse when I resell it. So that's just so smart. You have, like, again, like I said, strategically, your business, you have my admiration, my respect, because you
Thank you.
got the strategy to the T. Once you got, I always say, process, okay, and product. If you got the process and the product, okay, what you want to sell and the process for what you want to sell, you're gonna do so outstandingly well on reselling business. So congrats, Maria. We're coming to the end of our session. You're done so good. I don't want it to end, but let's go with a couple of more questions. What do you see buyers, okay, luxury buyers, right, asking the most this 2025, or if you please, the most on your career, or anything? What do they ask? Okay.
They're always asking for the lowest price. I would definitely say that.
No,
They're always,
really?
it doesn't matter whatever industry you're in. It's like, what's the best price? There's always, you always have to give a little bit of room for negotiation or be open to it unless the item is priced at its
Right.
lowest.
Right.
I think that's probably the number one question I get.
Wow.
In the early days, I used to get, is this authentic or do you have certificates? But I actually put it in all my listings, like comes with a certificate of authentic. This is authentic,
So
has
you
been
eliminated that
authenticated or
problem.
whatever. So I eliminate that issue completely. I provide those certificates when I sell my items. I provide them on any platform that I'm selling. They do come with the certs. I usually print them out, or sometimes I'll tell the customer, if a couple of times I'll forget and I'll say, hey, what's your email? And then I email it to them, or they may ask me, and I think that's the standard. For me, the standard is the certificate.
Right.
It's not for everybody. And I understand that, but when people sit there and say, oh, what is your risk? What are you worried about? There's always going to be a risk in your business.
Yeah.
But I promise you, I have less cases opened for me. I have less issues with my clients because I'm always communicative. I always talk to them. I say, hey, this item came in, or if I do sourcing requests for a client or something, I say, hey, your item came in, but hey, there's corner wear, there's wrinkling here, the strap is aged, or the interior has deterioration. I'm very, very detailed, extremely detailed. If you watch any of my live streams, I show every single inch. I disclose every single piece. Yep, and when you do that, it eliminates any problems with your client. That's 100% of the time.
That's just incredible. Maria, what would you say, okay, is your number one piece of advice for resellers interested in luxury? What would you say it is?
I would definitely say, I think I said it earlier, is start small and then build your business and take your time. Because there's a lot of people that do what I'm doing and they burn out. They burn out after a year or two, or they burn out, or they go out of business. And I see it left and right. And that's not to say that that they're not ethical, or they don't have a great product, a great business model, or they're not doing a good job. It's they tried, and there are people out there who've tried big and they get big and they're successful very quickly. Absolutely. But for me, the reason why I do so well, the reason why I'm able to vacation right now, for example, and the reason why I'm able to work on my business and have a 90-day wait list for my consignment clients is because of the ethics and the way I did it. And I did it brick by brick. I took my time, and it's all an investment, like little by little. And I think that's the big part. And if it's too much for you, you're like, hey, I can't invest $1,000 in a bag. Don't do that. I do not expect, you should not do that. Buy the lower end, like the starting out, the lower end Prada bags, or the lower end Gucci bags, the vintage items, the ones that have a lower price, and then buy that, sell that, and build and build and build. And that's how you're successful. That's how I did mine. That's how I ran my business. If you should not be taking out loans, you should not be doing anything bananas, especially if you don't understand what you're doing. Because any piece that you give me right now, if you were to pop up a bag and, if you were to Google and put up a bag up, I know the history of all these items. I do the research. I look at runways. I've looked at all the runways from the past, 20, 30 years, whatever's been up. And I research, I see the clothing, I see the handbags. So I visually already know what to expect or what to see, or if an item comes in, I really know the eras. And that's the experience, but that's experience. That's me doing this for a very long time. And I think that's something that really needs to be said that people forget, because there's two types of luxury resellers. There's the turn and burn, and that's a perfectly fine business model. Mine is a little different. I'm the rare and the archival, those hard to find items. Like I always say to people, hard find, like stuff that you're wearing something that nobody else has seen or worn before, or the different pieces, the stuff you see on that bloggers are wearing. That's kind of my niche. That's been my wheelhouse. But at the same time, I built it. I spent my time and I built it. I took my time building that brick by brick. If you want something really big and whatever, good luck. And I'm not saying you can't do it. You absolutely can. But it's harder. It's a lot harder. It's, building your reputation really creates those repeat clients. I have customers who've been coming to me for 6-7 years now, and they're like, I only buy from you. I had a client, she said she bought something from me. She's like, she bought something from somewhere else. And she says, I deeply regret it. It was the worst experience. I'm never buying from anybody else. Maria, I'm so sorry I cheated. I was like, you didn't cheat. You saw a really cool, you saw a really cool piece, and it just didn't work out. But it's that. But I always tell people, always shop around, always look for the best thing, and do that and be yourself,
Right.
but that's what you have to work on. I think
Right.
it's really building this business. This business, it's not built in a day, and it takes time, and it takes, I don't want to say experience, because sometimes it's not always experience, but it's
Uh,
knowledge and learning what is going on. And especially in the last 20 years with
right.
fashion, 25 years, 30
Uh-huh.
years, I would say, is really big right now, what people are buying and selling. And of
Right.
course, you look at what's changed now with the quality, and
Oh,
how a lot of luxury brands have shifted and become more fast
yes.
fashion. And that's
Yes.
heartbreaking too. People ask me about that. I'm like, the only brand I can really tell you that's not doing it is Hermes. That's honestly
Really.
the brand I can really tell you, I can guarantee that's not really doing it. I think everybody else is doing something in
Right.
between.
Yep.
I would say
Absolutely.
Chanel's quality has gone down. I don't know where they're manufacturing, but I can tell you the LVMH, the LVMH umbrella is definitely in there, absolutely, because it's Dior is part of LVMH. It's part of Louis Vuitton. So I know that we've seen the scandal with Dior as of late. We've seen the scandals with Gucci as of late,
Yeah.
where the quality is not there. To me, it's not there, and it's why I'm not really wearing it. The
Right.
luxury I'm wearing is 20 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, where
Right.
there's
Right.
there's a clear shift, and it changes. It absolutely has
Yeah, you
changed.
reminded me the scandal made in Italy, but with parts of China. That was just insane. You're absolutely right. Thank you for bringing that up. So it's very unique what you sell. You understand quality over quantity. You have supported sustainable fashion. I want to give you thanks, Maria, for an incredible session. I'm looking forward to do another one where you can teach us a little more about these unique findings, maybe listings that you're proud of, because it's you're so knowledgeable. So thank you, Maria. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for all these years for trusting your businesses with List Perfectly. I really
Yeah.
appreciate.
Oh, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the List Perfectly fam. My business wouldn't be where it's at without List Perfectly, because it gives me the ability to have someone come in, have my assistants come in and cross post for me, make these listings, help me out with my business. And so I can focus on sourcing, focus on my customers, focus on my clients and my consignment. And I just got the hiccup, sorry. And that's the biggest part for me. And that's the most important thing. That's why I love the List Perfectly fam, and I love the community. I think I'm really happy with that. That's really big for me. And, I'm happy to help out this community. We're a good community here, and we need to take care of each other for sure.
Thank
And
you,
thank
Maria.
you so much. I thank you so much for interviewing me. I'm very honored. It means a lot. I know you guys could have interviewed anybody else. And for you guys to pick me, it means a lot to me.
No, it means a lot to us. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Give us a thumbs up and go check out Maria's links. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody. Have a beautiful day and many sales.